My fault. Welcome back to the Day2Day podcast, guys. So happy all of y'all are here. I'm Dev. I'm going to be the host for today. Today, we are joined by some people you may recognize. You know, we have Kayna and Devin here. And we are joined by a new face, Ella.
Hi.
How are you doing? Just
I'm
tell us a little
good.
bit about yourself. What school you go to, what grade you're in. Maybe a fun fact.
I said the school I go to?
Yeah, you can. If you don't want to. Don't want to
Well,
put you on blast.
Okay. I'm in 8th grade. I play soccer. I have 3 siblings, and one of them is my twin.
Ooh.
And I've been, like, in the church all my life, but I never really became a full Christian and devoted myself to God until about 6th grade. So.
That's good. That's good. Love to hear that. Well, just a reminder, like, why we do this. We want this podcast, the whole idea, the whole, reason we made it is because we wanted to be able to, reach students that, know about God, but, maybe they don't know how to live with God in their day-to-day lives, or just students that, may have never heard about God ever, right? We want this to be a podcast that's going to help you and guide you and give you the tools to walk with Jesus in your day-to-day lives. Last episode was really good. We talked a lot about, friendships, and just how do I know the pressures of just that comes with being Christian in the world and kind of walking through friendships, right? So we're gonna kind of stay on that topic a little bit. This will be a lot more like Q&A style. The last one we were just kind of having a convo about it, but we kind of wanted to stay on that a little bit more and just kind of ask you guys questions, because at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that are in the schools. You guys are the ones walking through these friendships in middle school and high school daily. So we just kind of wanted to touch on it a little bit more and just ask you guys questions and get to the real meat and bones of how can I be, how can I show Christ in my friendships, right? So we went to Instagram and we asked you guys, right, just different questions, what you wanted to know when it comes to friendships and that sort of stuff. So we'll just kind of get right into it. One of the questions we got a lot was, what do I do if I'm still angry towards my friend for something they did a long time ago? I feel like that's, we're young, we fight, it's natural, right? We're human, frictions are gonna rise. But as a Christian, how do we kind of combat that? Or how can we show Christ in those moments, right? So take it away whenever you feel like it.
So this wasn't with a friend, but this was with one of my siblings. And we used to be really close, but then we sort of just kind of started, our relationship kind of fell apart a little bit. The older she got, because she's a lot older than me. And so she would just the typical older sister stuff. She would be mean to me and stuff like that. But sometimes I felt like it wasn't a joke. And so I'd always just get really annoyed with her and really mad. And the anger just kind of never went away towards her. And it was always just I was always angry at her. I was always mad at her. We were always fighting for some reason. But I just I didn't want to forgive her because she had done so much mean stuff to me, so much cruel stuff to me. I'm like, well, how could we ever get back to how we were before, you know? And I just that was sort of before I became a Christian. I was young, I was 9, maybe 10. And then once I came into middle school and I started coming to church and stuff like that, and I gave my life to Christ, I could just feel more peace inside of me. But I was still struggling with that anger.
For sure.
And I was just well, I know that I'm supposed to forgive her, but I don't know if I even want to forgive her yet.
Dang.
And
real.
The thing that helped me the most kind of was we got into a big fight one day, like we always do, but this one was just more I had everything built up inside of me, and I was just ready to tell her about everything.
Yeah.
And I did, and we talked it out, and eventually, because the thing that happened was that she never realized that I was angry at her.
Yeah.
And so I think the best thing is to just kind of talk it out, because
That's good.
she never knew that I was angry at her. She never realized that because I never told her. I would just kind of avoid her.
Yeah.
And so I would say that if you're angry at somebody, just pray about it. Definitely. That's something that really helped me. And also just go to scripture about it,
That's good, man. That's really good.
Jesus calls us to forgive, and I know it may be hard in the moment, but it's something that'll really help you out in the long run.
Hey, that's really good. I really like what you said in the beginning. Like, you didn't want to forgive her, right? And that's like, I feel like that's where the mindset like changes. Like, we give our life to Christ, and at that point, it's not even up to us. We are called, we are told to forgive people, right? And that's like, I love how you said, turn to the scripture, pray about it. At the end of the day, if we try to do it all by ourselves, we're gonna fail. It's gonna fall through, right? But when we give it to God, give it to the one who never fails. Like, so that's really good. That's really good. I don't know if any of y'all want to touch on that one or.
You got anything?
I really liked how you said that, the part where you were like, I didn't want to forgive her, and I thought that was really good, just because we're teenagers, we're going through school, like no one's perfect. That's part of the broken world we live in. So expecting all your friends and all your relationships to always be perfect and for them always to have your back and just never hurt you, that's not how it's gonna work. Sadly, it's gonna happen
For sure.
But it's going back and like to the scripture, like you said. This may seem extreme, but when I went through this with one of my friends, what I immediately thought of was Jesus forgave Judas, and that was like crazy. Like, they were so good friends. Like no, they became friends, and Jesus knew it was gonna happen, and he still chose to love Judas.
That's good.
And so it's coming to the place of maybe you don't want to forget them right now, but would you rather hold your anger and lose them, or forgive and keep them? Like, is that one thing they caused, that one moment they hurt you, worth losing your friendship with them?
Yeah, that's good.
And so it's just holding the value.
That's really good.
That's tough. Something I got with is be real. I think one of my biggest role models in my life is my older brother. Yeah. He always tells me to tell me what I'm feeling. Yeah. It doesn't matter if the argument's going south, we're still gonna talk, and we're still gonna talk. And at the end of the day, whenever we get those serious talks, whenever we're done with those serious conversations that we both get angry at, our relationship gets stronger. There's been times in my life where I've cursed God. I have told him I don't want you at this point, and those moments that I have is when I get stronger with God and relationship wise and friendship wise. Again, my no is just be real with your friend. And if your friend doesn't want to be real with you, then that ain't a friend.
Dang, that's good. That's good. Dang, y'all are killing it right now. So kind of going into that next question, right? We're talking a lot about like, what can I do, right? Like, what if like I don't want to forgive? Well, I feel like this next question is kind of like good. Well, what do I do if I want to tell my friend they aren't believing in the right thing, right? Like, that's kind of a tough one, right? Because at that point, that's like one person's belief over another. So how do we fight that, or how do we like kind of go into that?
I high-key love this question, but at the same time I dislike it. It's because it's hard. It's really hard to debate with somebody. Hey, your belief is wrong, my belief is right. But how do we know? All right, we gotta look at the evidence. Let's look at my evidence. Let's look at the Bible. Let's see that. Let's look at the historical facts of the Bible. Is it believable? Website says that 95.2% of the Bible is historically complete. So it is reliable. Now, what about Jesus? Is he reliable? Did he say these words? So I look at the disciples. What happened to them whenever they preached their gospel? Yeah. I don't want to go too brutal on this, but they died. Yeah. And it's kind of common sense that nobody would die for a lie. Oof. That's something that I hold dearly. That why would these disciples, if they are truly lying, they said one night, all right, we're gonna die. That's the biggest prank of our life. No, the reason why they died is because they had truth in it. There has to be truth in it. All right, and when my third point is, you preach without even speaking. Yeah. I've taken God serious for the past 3 years, maybe 2. And one of the biggest things that God has shown me is that the biggest Bible that unbelievers are gonna see is me.
Dang, that's really good.
One of my friends that he told me one time, we were working out, he told me one time, he's like, Devin, you were really good in football. You were really good. You're like the toughest guy to go against, but why did you give it all away? And I told him, I was like, the reason why, bro, is because I felt a bigger calling in my life. He told me, he's like, nah, bro, like, you're the reason why I'm believing in God. Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest compliments I've ever had in my life. Someone telling me that they're the biggest reason. I'm the biggest reason that they're believing in God. I tell you, just preach without speaking. Be different from the world. Be different.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta say.
that's good, dude.
I loved that. That was amazing. Accountability, especially in our age, like high school, middle school, accountability is one of the hardest things to give, but is one of the most important things to receive.
Dang.
So like we're all trying to figure it out. No one has all the answers ever, but like in our high school ages, in our middle school ages, that's when we find like who we are and who we think Jesus is. And that's a lot of pressure on a teenager. Think about that. That's wow.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, well, Jesus chose teenagers to go and share the world, the word, right? So that means we're called, and it's not like it's not out of our hands. Like Jesus chose the people in the Bible; they were our age to do it, which means we can go do it. So although it's scary and you don't know all the answers, if your friend isn't living to what you think Jesus calls the truth and what they should have through their life, why wouldn't you tell them?
Yeah.
Like, and that has to come from a place of love. Like if you're going at them and you're doing your accountability to be like, you're not as good as a Christian as I am, then it's not accountability.
Yeah.
That's just trying to be like, I'm better than you are.
Yeah, it's bragging at the end of it.
So-
That's really
Right
good.
there.
Your accountability has to come from a place of love. You have to see them and be like, I love you so much, and I feel Jesus telling me that I'm your accountable friend right now. And I need to tell you that you're not living it right.
That's good. That's
Which
good.
and I will be honest, like I've been told that in my friend group, like they'll tell me I am. I'm the accountable friend. Like when they come and tell me things like, Kayna, I'm sorry. Like I know you're gonna be kind of disappointed in me, or Kayna, I messed up again. And the biggest thing I had to look at and stop was when that happened, because I used to be terrified of being like, okay, but I don't think Jesus agrees with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And just like looking at it right now and having like all these deep conversations I have with my friends, how strong my relationship is now with like all of my friends, because we don't have this sugar-coated relationship anymore.
Yeah.
It isn't,
100%.
oh, you sin, but I don't want to talk about your sin. I sin, and I don't want to talk about my sin. So we'll just both act like we don't do it.
Oof.
And then when the hard times come, I won't go to you because I don't want you to know that I sin.
Yeah.
And that's not a
good.
real relationship. That's not what Jesus calls us to have. And so it's accountability. Like your friends need that. You need that. So don't let your friends think you're only with them for the good moments. Like they're sinful. We're sinful. Be there for them.
I really like that, man. Coming from a place of love, I feel like that's so forgotten and so easy. Like even like not even with teenagers, just like I feel like in the church in general, like a lot of times I feel like we don't come from a place of love, right?
Yeah.
And no one wants to be told what they're doing wrong, right? Like no one. Like I don't want Kayna to tell me, hey, my shoe's untied, like right? Like, but hey, if she's like, hey, Devin, I really care for you. Your shoe's untied. I don't want you to fall, right? Like that's a lot different. Like that's good, man. Coming from a place of love, that's powerful. And kind of, oh, my fault. What were you gonna say?
It's loving the sinner, not the sin.
Yeah.
You have to. You cannot agree with what your friend's doing.
Yeah.
And tell them that, but you still love who they are. Like who they are, who God made them to
That's
be.
good, man. That's good.
I feel like something that we should always be reminded of is that no matter who they are, they're still a creation of God.
Amen.
Dang.
And so
hey,
we should
that's
always
a
just take that.
that's a bar.
We should
That's a
always
bar.
just take that like we should always just be reminded of that because like sometimes I get frustrated with my friends because I try to tell them about God, but then they'll like make fun of me for it, or they'll be like no, that's like he's not real, and you just have to realize that no matter who they are, like God still made them, and that they still have a plan made by God.
Yeah.
And we are a vessel, and we need God to speak through us to help them out, you know?
Yeah. That's good.
That's tough.
That's good.
Well, real quick, what Kayna said, whenever she said out of a place of love, some people, whenever people hear the love, they think, oh, I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I think love is whenever you tell somebody, hey, you're about to die. There's a illustration that from a preacher that he says, if a man is putting their hand on a stove, and if you truly love him, you'll tell him to take it out the stove.
Yeah.
But no, because you say that love is letting the guy do whatever he wants, you'll let it there. You'll let his hand be there. Same thing with us. We are tasked to spread the gospel, the good news that there's two eternal homes, hell and heaven. Everybody knows that. However, those who deny Christ, those who deny His salvation, will go to a place that they chose, not they deserve, but they chose. Also, what she said, what Ellie, hold on, I'm trying to think. Just people saying, oh, sorry, there you go, there it is. We're made in the creation of God. I think that's tough. I think one of the biggest verses in the Christian world is John 3:16.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. I think you go to a man walking in the street and don't know John 3:16.
Yeah, 100%.
However, people do not know the power in it. It says, for whoever who believes, whoever is saying the whole world, if whoever believes has eternal salvation in me.
Yeah.
There you go. The gospel is for everyone. There's some truth in that.
Heck yeah. That's really good. All right. Good stuff. Dang. That was a really good question. Y'all killed that. All right. Our last question. I feel like this is a really big one. We got this one a lot. And at the end of the day, it all stems, I feel like, back to this one. So, like, I'm going to kind of put a tough task on y'all. In one sentence, what do I do if I haven't found the right friend group yet? Or maybe not a sense, but I don't know. Kind of sum it up.
If nobody would like to go first, I could do it. But first one is, I think it's the most powerful, but we always forget, is pray. Every day, pray. If you don't have the right friend group, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
There's a moment in my life where I was trying to find the right friend group, and I was lost. However, there was a moment in my life, in that same moment, I was experienced God like no other. It was me and him one-on-one talking with him.
Yeah.
That was the biggest moment. Like if you don't have the right friend group, you're in a good time. Don't worry, you're with God one-on-one. It's just you and him. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And however, you are praying to God. You are praying to the one that's all-knowing. Trust me, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I love this question.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I feel like, so like going through my middle and high school years, obviously I'm still going through it. I have felt like I've always been stuck in a friend group that was not like centered around Jesus.
Yeah.
And it was always hard for me because it pushed me to do things that Jesus didn't call me to do. And so going through all that, I found what I've now built my friendships off of. That's what I think, because I strongly believe that we are called to love everyone, not just the Christians.
Yeah,
like we're called to go and love
100%.
right out there. And so I do what I call the 2-circle rule. And like I'll talk about this all the time. The 2-circle rule is your friendships are 2 circles. One's really close. One's the inner one that's close to you, and one's the outer one.
Yeah.
So on the inner one, I put all my friends who love Jesus, all my ones I'll know who will be real with me, who will keep me accountable, who will live in community with me, all the ones who I know, like when they give me advice, it's not coming from the world, it's coming from Jesus. Like
that's good.
all of those friends go there. And if I have friends, if I still love these people, but they're not Jesus-centered, I don't kick them to the curb and say I don't love you anymore.
Yeah.
I just put them in my outer ring. That means I love them and they'll see Jesus through me, but their decisions won't affect who I am.
That's good.
So I will constantly show Jesus to them, but when they don't show Jesus to me, it won't change how I love Jesus. So I live by that rule. That's how I go through and look at it. But I really quick, I love what you said about how the one-on-one time is your time with God. Like just because you don't have a friend group yet with Jesus, like with Jesus-centered people, doesn't mean that you're like in a stalemate and Jesus isn't there.
For sure. Yeah.
But what I love about that is if you're currently in a season, which is what I had to do, if you're in a season of you're like you can't find Christians around you, maybe stop looking for Christians and start making them.
Dang.
Because
Bar.
like that's what I felt most like called to, is that I was going into friend groups that didn't have Jesus and leaving without putting Jesus in it. So I started to realize like I was the common denominator in this. Like I was the one with Jesus, but nothing was changing in my friend group because I was too scared to bring that up. So if you haven't found your Christian friends yet, maybe it's time for you to go and make your Christian friends.
Yeah, that's good.
My best friend right now, when we first met, she was not Christian.
Yeah.
She was not in the church like that. Like it was just not like that. She believed, she just wasn't like that. But I mean, I started hearing Jesus tell me like, just go talk to her. Just go ask questions. Just go ask questions. And I mean, you'll see her around the church. Like she's here every Wednesday, every Sunday.
That's
She's
awesome.
one of my closest inner circle of people.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I love that.
That's really
I love that. Good stuff, guys. Clap it up. It's a wrap on episode. Which one was this?
6.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll wrap on episode 6. My fault. It's early in the morning.
Real.
No, but hey, great stuff, guys. So happy y'all were able to come and Ella, welcome. Your first ever episode.
Thank
You did
you.
great.
Did amazing.
It was awesome. So glad to just be able to pour into just have y'all pour into your friends. For those watching online, join us next week. If you guys haven't seen the past episodes, definitely go check those out, whether it's on YouTube or anywhere else. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you. See you next week.
Love y'all.